Hello, everybody. Welcome to Season 2, Episode 3 of Paranormal Addicts Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Kent. My guest this week is Two Brothers Extreme Paranormal. So, as
What's
always,
going on, everybody? How's everybody doing out there?
we'll start out by letting the guys introduce themselves, and then we'll get rolling. You guys like that music on the intro?
Oh, yeah, that came out really good. Good job on that one.
The name of that song is actually Ghostbusters Extreme.
Oh, there you go.
So it was just perfect. Yeah. All right, guys, introduce yourself to everybody.
All right. Well, first off, I just want to start off and say thank you, Kat, for having us on your show. It's such an honor. We're love to be here tonight. And today, exactly, is our 4-year anniversary.
Yes, sir.
February 28th.
4 years of Two Brothers Extreme.
Yeah, February 28th, 2021. We started. We're here 4 years later, and we're excited. We're going to keep pushing forward as the years go on. But we are Two Brothers Extreme Paranormal. We are out of Connecticut. As I said, we've been doing this for 4 years. We've been going up and down the East Coast from some of the best and most haunted extreme locations that we could possibly find. And we've even done several in-home private cases as well.
We do like to help people that are in need.
Yep. We do all this not for money. We're all about helping out and charity and giving back. And obviously the one thing we love the most, the paranormal. We put our hearts and souls into it every investigation we go to. And we've met some incredible people along the way.
And that's what it's about. I mean, even though this is the first time we've actually, I guess, talked face to face, we've been corresponding for 2 years now, so I definitely consider you guys part of my para family,
Absolutely.
So, yeah. And, you hit the nail on the head, it's all about giving back. And, I love doing residential cases, unfortunately, there's not I guess fortunately and unfortunately, there's not as many of those as I would like. It's fortunate because I'm glad people aren't having to go through that, but I would like to be able to investigate them. But I also like the fact that, you said that you don't do this for money. Obviously, I don't either, and I actually advise people, when they call me, and if it happens to be out of my area, I try to make connections with other teams I know. And, but I always tell somebody, I'm like, if you ever contact the team and they want to charge you to come help you, you need to look somewhere else. There's something wrong there. I was like, there's plenty.
The one other thing about us too is when we do our private investigations, not residential, but when we go to these locations and rent out these locations, we film everything and we put it on our YouTube channel. But we don't do it for the likes. We don't do it for the subscribers. Our footage is 100% raw. We don't edit anything. The only thing I add to our videos is our names and some music here and there. Yeah. But other than that, that's another thing. We are not about the likes. We're just about the history, and we're about finding out more about the paranormal as we go on every investigation.
Yeah. The likes are cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool getting subscribers and all that stuff.
It gets one like.
But that's the one thing I like to tell everybody right off the bat. We do the investigations because it's for the love of the paranormal, the history of the paranormal, and the evidence, and trying to figure out what's going on with the paranormal. But you can find all our stuff right on our YouTube channel.
And that's what I tell people all the time, as you guys know, and most of the viewers know by now, I've been doing this for a long time. I've been doing it since '92, So, and my goal has always been, and it still is, to make the field better than it was when I got into it. I like to find, like you said, I like to find that evidence to prove it's there. I like to help people. It's not about the likes. I don't want to be a celebrity. I've even coined the phrase para-celebrities. You guys know that's my word, para-celebrity. I don't want to be one. I have some friends that you would definitely have to consider as a para-celebrity, but that's not me. I do the podcast because I love it and I'm passionate about it, and I get to talk to people like you. It's not about So yeah. So let's get rolling with our icebreaker questions.
All right, let's go.
Well, the icebreaker questions are real easy. The first one is a 2-part question, and that is, in the 4 years you guys have been doing this, what is your favorite location that you've investigated, and then what would your bucket list location be? You can both answer separately, guys.
I'll let you go first.
All right, you're gonna let me go first. Favorite location that we've been to? Ooh, this is a tough one. All right, well, There's a lot of favorites, but I'm gonna have to say the all-time favorite location we've been to, and it gets crazy every time we go back. It'll have to be, yeah, it would have to be White Hill. Definitely White Hill Mansion in New Jersey. It's definitely one of my favorite. Every time we go there, it's a different story, different feeling. We've got some amazing evidence from that place. It's always active. Bucket list location for me would have to be Trans. I'll have to go with Trans Allegheny. That's my
That's
all right, Adam. Let's see what you got.
So, dude, favorite location?
There's
All
been a
of them.
lot of them, dude.
All of them. But one that hits dear to my heart would have to be Mid Orange.
Yep, that's my second favorite.
The reason it's my first is different reason. We get amazing responses and footage and activity there, but that was the last location we went with our cameraman, which was my best friend besides Mike, that passed away. So that's why that one's will always hold my favorite.
Yeah.
But if we went off of activity and like everything happening, I'd have to agree White Hill because it's just insane every time we go back, and I have a beef with it.
Yeah,
I have a beef.
Yeah,
it always asks for me, even when I'm not there. Other groups that know us will go, "Hey, they kept asking for you. Tell them to leave me alone." But bucket list. Oof.
I think I know the one you're gonna go with for the bucket list.
Oof. Because I want to go sleep in that one room. That'd be the Clown Motel.
I knew it.
It has to be. I hear so much. I forgot what room it is, but it being the worst room that you'll never sleep in. Look, when I go to bed, you ain't messing with me, so I'll sleep. But it's the Clown Motel.
Yeah. I have to throw an honorable mention for like best location though. I have to say, what's the place in Connecticut that we went to, the hospital? Norwich State Hospital was amazing. We got some crazy stuff there too. We only got to investigate that place once,
and that was
because the camera guy that passed away, his grandmother was the head nurse for the place.
Yeah.
So he was
ran
able,
it for years.
Yeah, for years. So he was able to get us in the one time, and it was kind of crazy because it's all open. So we ran into people that were breaking and entering, unfortunately. Kind of got a little annoying with that, but we had some crazy experiences.
It had to be at least a 10, 15 pound piece of granite thrown between our heads.
Mm-hmm.
And
the
then
desk.
and then we were in a I called it the T-wing building because it was one hallway with hallways off to the left, like a T, you know. And we go in this building, and like we got one thing in the beginning, and then it just went fit. And the one thing that everybody says is never talk crap to the spirits, you could say. But I was walking with Mike. I'm like, well, Mike, I guess they're a bunch of cowards and don't want to talk to us.
And shit you
and
not.
We walked past the hallway.
Yeah.
As soon as I said, like, as we're walking past this hallway, I said, Mike, I guess they're a bunch of cowards don't want to talk to us. And I finished the sentence, and we passed the doorway. What, bam! A desk goes flying through the door and whacks the wall on the other side.
Right behind us as we walked by.
Yeah. And I was like, maybe I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah. I'm walking by going, I'm like, yeah, keep talking shit, Adam. See what happens.
Well, I think it's important, I don't provoke the spirits,
Yeah,
but there's a
neither do
difference.
we.
No,
But there's a difference between provoking it and talking shit. Sometimes you have to know the spirits. So So I don't consider like, oh, you're a chicken, so you don't want to talk to us. I don't consider that. That's definitely not provoking. Provoking would be like, fucking talk to me, fucking now. That's provoking.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's hard, just like you guys. It's hard for me to pick my favorite location, especially with 33 years of doing this.
Oh
but,
yeah, I'm going on year 21. I've been doing the total for 21 years.
Yeah, so you know what I'm saying. But my bucket list location is actually, and everybody's like, I can't believe you haven't been there. But my bucket list location is actually Pinhurst.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Believe it or not, I've never been there.
We've been there twice.
3 times.
Oh no, 3 times. Yeah, we've been there 3 times.
It's kind of on my to-do list for this year, but it may actually be next. It may actually be next year, but because what I plan on doing is I want to just rent out the whole building and just bring like me and maybe you guys, people that I know, trust,
let us know. We're down for that.
I definitely will. So second icebreaker question: what is your go-to piece of equipment? And you can't say yourself. We all know that we're the best piece of equipment. So
right.
What's the best piece of equipment that you had to buy? How's that?
We're going to be way off. We're going to be way off on this one because the two of us always argue about this wherever we go. Yeah. It's the funniest thing. For me, it has to be the DVR. I love doing digital voice recorders. I mean, you can't. It's raw evidence. That's the one thing I love the most. Where you show people, look, here's the two of us here. There's a third voice. There's no way around it. Can't explain it. I love the DVR. So I would have to say that. I would have to go with that for EVPs. That's my favorite. Get ready for this one.
You're ready to laugh? My favorite piece of equipment is my $20 mini mag flashlight.
I can't really. I can't really disagree with either one of those. I mean, I love my DVR. I actually got a new DVR system for my birthday last year.
Nice.
So yeah, and it's the wireless kind. So I can use it anywhere. And I got it in my case with the padding and everything. But you can't argue with the flashlight either because that's an essential piece of equipment. Yep. So my team, Ken 10 Paranormal, we're a large team. We have 15 members on the team.
Oh, wow.
So, but you can't just come up to me and say, Kent, I want to join Ken 10 Paranormal. It doesn't work that way. We have steps to do it. The first step is is actually an interview, and me and my 2 team leads will actually interview you and see if we think you fit, why you're interested. We want to make sure that you're actually legit, that you're not coming in there to cause drama and all that stuff. And then after the interview, the next step is you'll go through an orientation at our monthly meeting. We have a monthly team meeting. So at the monthly meeting, you go through orientation. And nice. part of orientation is I explain to them that there's two pieces of equipment that I require every member to have. I don't expect new members to go out and buy a DVR system or Ovilus or SLS camera, because you're running into money there. But I do require everybody to have a flashlight, a voice recorder, and a K2 if you want one. I'm 50-50 on K2s, but at least that's an inexpensive piece of equipment you can pick up.
Yep.
But I do require everybody to have a flashlight and a voice recorder.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, if you really think about it, that's all you really need too.
Don't like a regular flashlight, but I have to have the mag, because there's no the button is hard for them to push.
Right.
Spirits.
Right.
But the mini mag, you turn it on and you turn it to goes off, and now that flashlight can't turn on.
Mm-hmm.
There has to be an energy field in between that battery and that bulb.
Mm-hmm.
So people we've done a open investigation, where people come, and there was this one guy. He's like, "Oh, you rigged that. You rigged it. There's something in there that he was
a pure skeptic."
Yeah. So I had another mini mag flashlight still in the wrapper. Okay, it was brand new. I said, "Here, take it out. Batteries are in it. They're sealed batteries. They're not my batteries. It came with the flashlight. Put it together, and I'll show you how to to turn it on and then turn it off." And he put it on, and I said, "Spirits, can you show him that you're really here? Turn on the flashlight now, please. And it turned right on.
Yep.
And then I said, now can you turn it off? And it turned off. And he said, you rigged that one too. I said, you opened it. How did
He
I
was
rig
literally there for like 20 minutes and he took the whole thing apart
Both
trying
of
to
them.
figure it out.
both
And
flashlights?
then put it back together and did it again. I'm like, yeah, now tell us how you figured that out. Tell us what you think about that now.
Well, I mean, there's some skeptics that they're not going to believe no matter what. The spirit could sit on the lap and they still wouldn't believe. So, but the interesting thing about the flashlight, and I use the mini mag flashlight too. So I was doing a residential investigation and I'm not going to go into too many details because it's a residential, but it was in Union City, Tennessee, and it was a malicious spirit. I'm not saying demonic. I'm just saying malicious. There's a difference. So, but for whatever reason, that the flashlight technique is how the spirit chose to communicate with us. I mean, I got all the fancy stuff, as you guys know, and but for some reason, it started communicating with us in the basement, but it wouldn't actually communicate with us till we got in the attic.
Oh wow!
And I'm not talking about a finished attic. I'm talking about like a crawl space attic.
Yeah.
And I'm not a small guy. You guys know that. And so I'm called up to the attic by one of my team members who's about my size. So we have two big guys up in this attic that's not even finished. So we had to like military crawl around in this attic. And the flashlight's how it chose to communicate with us. And like you said, if we asked it to turn it on, we asked it. And so when it turned it on to make sure it was actually somebody communicating with us, we're like, now turn it off. So, And what we end up finding out through our investigation and through historical newspapers and stuff was the malicious spirit in the house was actually a former pastor who had became a child molester.
Oh boy!
And he was actually targeting the 11-year-old girl.
Oh wow!
And so I mean, we were able to help the family. But the whole point is, the spirits will communicate with you however they choose to. So, and a lot of times it's the flashlight for lots of reasons. One reason, spirits understand what a flashlight is. If they're a spirit from the 1890s, they have no clue what the obelisk is.
Exactly.
So they're going to use what they're comfortable with.
Yep.
So, yeah.
That's the one thing too. Like when we do seminars and when we do like all these other things and like speech or taught when we speak at Paracons and stuff, and people ask us all the time about the whole equipment thing. I said honestly, we have thousands of dollars worth of equipment. We have the most up to date equipment. We have expensive stuff. We have the SLS cameras. We have the XLS cameras. And honestly, the best thing we have is our EVPs and our mag flashlight. I said technically that's all you need, and half the time we don't even use half the equipment we have on our investigations. Like we're lucky if we get a cat ball to go off here and there, but but when it comes to the recordings, the EVPs have been insane. Like we have some crazy stuff.
And
the flashlight,
I'll stick by my flashlight.
Mm-hmm. Like we have our EMF meters, but like I kind of have my 50-50 with the EMF meters because you don't know, like I don't know, certain stuff I'm kind of like, okay, let's see. That's why I like using stuff that you can't explain. Like, okay, how is that physically possible?
Right.
How did that voice just say, yes, I'm here?
Yeah.
And no one else.
When there's only two of us in the room.
And it sounds like nothing like me or Mike.
Mm-hmm.
That's like another piece of equipment, I thought about ones that, you either get something or you don't. So my favorite, my go-to piece of equipment is a thermal camera. I love my thermal camera because, like you said, you either get something or you don't. You can't fake a thermal camera,
No.
So I like it. I have a couple of pieces of equipment that's the more expensive ones that are kind of my favorite right now because they're still new in my box. And and I got, from Ghost Scare, I got the Apple box,
Yep.
I like it. And then I don't have an obelisk for several reasons. One reason is it's $700. I mean, that's one reason. The other reason is I've I've been with teams and people that's used Ovilus, and the Ovilus's wood bank is just too random. It would just start randomly shouting words that have nothing.
We've used we have an Ovilus. We've used it a couple times, but then we put it away for a while because literally every 2 seconds a word would come out. And they have the sensitivity controls on the new Ovilus that we bought, but I don't know, we don't really use it much.
I think we used it like 5 times.
Yeah, we've maybe used it about 5 times total, I would say, if we're lucky. I mean, mostly when we host like public events, other people use it more than we do.
Right. That's like I got a Paratech VM5. If you guys know what that is, I love that thing. So a little bit more background about you guys all know this. We talked about this before, but since it's in the conversation, I'll say it again. So whenever we test a new piece of equipment for the team before it makes it into my toolkit, we actually test it for 5 investigations.
Okay.
That way after 5 investigations, we know whether it's a useful piece of equipment or not.
Yep.
And so like when it comes to like the Paratech or the Apple Box or something like that, ITC, the best way I found to test it is with the voice recorder. So if I get something on the voice recorder and it's about the same thing that I get on the Paratech, I know it's something.
Yeah. Yep.
So I've used the Paratech now for about 2 years, and I've got some really good stuff with it. But like I said, I always like to have that second piece of equipment to back it up.
Yeah. Yep.
So for my birthday this year, guys, I went to the Monroe House in Indiana.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that's where I spent my birthday. And kind of like you guys were saying about spending the night it's supposed to be the worst room. So my birthday. So the investigation started on the January 18th. January 19th is actually my birthday. So of course it was an overnight investigation. So right at midnight, we go down to the basement, which is supposed to be the most active place, the malicious spirits. So we get down there, and I decided to go live right at midnight because it's my birthday. So I'm down there in this little cubby hole that they got in the basement, and we have for that investigation we only took 5 of us because as active as it is and as famous as it is, it's still just a house. So you don't want 10, 15 people there. So we had 5 people there, and so we're down in the basement, and my team leads with me, and then I have my video guy, and then I have our newest member who was still training. And at that time, that was the investigation that took him out of training and made him into a full investigator. So that's who we had. So we were videoing it. We had the voice recorder going. My team lead, her favorite piece of equipment is my thermal camera. So she's using the thermal camera. I got the Apple Box. I got my voice recorder, and I got the Paratech. That's what I got.
Yep.
So we started asking questions, and so originally we also had the Parascript, which is another ITC, but we were using it. We thought it and the Paratech would probably work good together. But what happened is the Parascript started giving out just random word bank words. So we actually ended up just turning it off. We didn't even use it anymore. And now, with that being said, it does have accessibility setting and stuff. And if I had time, I probably could have adapted it to the investigation. But I'm investigating the Monroe House on my birthday. I'm not setting up somebody else's piece of equipment at that time.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway, we're in the basement, and I start asking questions. And the Monroe House is an interesting place, as you guys know, because nobody really knows why there's so much activity there. There's theories. Maybe it was built on burial ground, Native American burial ground. The first owners was actually the first black soldier from the War of 1812. It was, so there's theories, but nobody ever knows. But one thing that they do know is through history, the place has burnt down multiple times, and so for whatever reason. So anyway, we're down in the basement, and my investigation style is I just talk to the spirit. I try to get them to trust me. I figure if they trust me, they're going to talk to me. So we're just talking. And we get going. So we get to the point, and I ask it. I was like, so did you die Did you die here? And the Apple Box would yes. And I was like, okay. I was like, did you? So my follow up question was, did you die in the house? Because that's an important question. I need to know if it died in the house or on the property.
Yep.
So I was like, did you die in the house? And it said yes. And at this point, it's only the Echo box communicating. Nothing else. I mean, upon review, we had stuff with the voice recorder, but obviously I didn't hear it during the live. So my next question was, I was like, how did you die? Did you die because of a gun? Were you shot? And the answer I got was no. I was like, okay. I was like, so were you physically killed? Were you strangled? Were you beat to death? And again, I got no. And let me tell you, I don't know how much you guys know about the Echo box, but the voice on it, if you use the voice setting, is Dave Schroeder's voice.
Yep.
So at like 2:00 in the morning in a dark basement, Dave Schroeder's voice is kind of freaky. But anyway, so my follow-up question, so I was like, so I was kind of perplexed. So I was like, and that's exactly what I told the spirit. I was like, well, I'm a little bit confused at this point. I'm like, you told me you died here in the house. And it said yes again. But you wasn't shot or strangled or beaten. I was like, so I need you to tell me how you were killed. And then the paratech went off and it said fire.
Oh wow.
So that's just one of those. That's just one of those. Yeah, that's just one of those rare moments. You can't, that's a good evidence, And the other thing that was really cool, I couldn't hear it because, like I said, I'm doing the live. But obviously, with a team of 15 people, I actually have 2 team leads. My one team lead, Dennis, could not make it with us to the row house, but he was watching the live at home. And in the middle of the live, while I'm conducting this question session, the EVP session, you heard a growl at 12:08, and I didn't hear it. But upon the replay, you could definitely hear it. I mean, if you go to
crazy.
If you go to our YouTube page, Ken Tan Paranormal YouTube page, we actually have the investigation video from Monroe House, and you can actually hear the growl. You can actually hear the growl during the question and answer. So it's one of those. Yeah. So a question that I usually ask later on, but since we've kind of talked around it, let's go ahead and ask it. And that's just how do you guys feel about different kinds of equipment? I mean, it's like we both said, what people have to realize is most of the equipment that we have now wasn't actually intended for paranormal investigations. Somebody smarter than me figured out, hey, that would work. That would work good. That would work good. That would work good for the paranormal field. I mean, that's like, just for instance, like you mentioned SLS earlier. The SLS was originally a Kinect video game system, so it was a sucky video game system. But somebody smarter than me was like, hey, that would be a good piece of paranormal equipment. And
I'm pretty sure it's like an electrician with like a video game hobby that created all this stuff. Some electricians out there playing video games. He goes, you know what? I can find ghosts with this stuff.
Living in the mother's basement.
Yeah. Yes.
But the story about the SLS is that apparently when the people was playing whatever game, the camera kept picking up people walking into the room that wasn't there. So they're like, so yeah. So how do you guys feel about, what's your guys' take on the SLS technology? Are you a fan of it?
I mean, we have the XLS and we have the SLS. I think the SLS worked better than the XLS has been lately.
Yeah, we were up at the Hinsdale house, and we were up at by the Giving Tree, and I had the SLS, and I was like, oh shit, I'm picking up like up in the tree, and someone goes, oh, it's marking out the branches, and I was like, that's not a branch, and I said, spirit, if you are a spirit, can you climb down the tree? And clear as day.
Mm-hmm. And as soon as it hit the ground, it just disappeared. But it literally, we had it waving too. We were like, can
Yeah.
you kick your leg or can you move your arm? And then as soon as he said it, can you come down the tree? Like, it was an amazing thing to see. It literally just climbed down the tree little by little, and then boom, gone.
So
Well, you
I
know,
like it.
I think it's useful if it's used right.
Yep.
You know, that one thing I tell people all the time, and I'll probably say it like 3 times in this podcast. You know, the key to any piece of equipment is you have to learn how to use it properly. You have to learn the false positives. You have to learn, you know.
Oh, Jesus. The boss is here.
Rob, don't mess me up. Every time you come to my podcast, you screw up my show. Yeah, like Mark just said, if it's you, and it needs to
I
be
agree
safe.
100%. Yep.
Yeah, and you know that's the issue you see, because you see on TV they're carrying the SLS. Why? Because that's what the producer wants, because it's good for TV, but it doesn't work that way. So here's my SLS story. So with the V1, you know, the first version, I think maybe it was too sensitive. So we were investigating this location in Paducah, you know, my hometown, that I've actually investigated 12 times. It's actually like a really great place. It was the African American hotel during segregation. So, you know, everybody stayed there. You know, all the black singers, all the Negro League baseball players, the Hollywood. So anyway, we had this trainee with us, and for whatever reason, my team lead Jill, she decided to let this newbie use my expensive SLS camera that I had just got. But this was the first investigation we had ever used the SLS in. So, but anyway, so she's using it, and obviously she's using it improperly. Well, it picks up everything. So, you know, because it picks up the post at the end of the staircase. It picks up a pile of clothes, and so. And she starts sending these pictures to me in the middle of the investigation. First of all, don't send me stuff in the middle of the investigation. Wait till afterwards, and we'll review everything together. I'm trying to conduct my part of the investigation. And second of all, you know, make sure it's actual evidence. So we go to do the presentation video, you know, at the next team meeting, and she gets mad at me because none of her stuff's on there. And so I politely show her the human shape that she picked up was the end of the staircase, and you know, so on a positive, so now I got the version 1.5. I don't know why it's 1.5 and not 2, but anyway, so we were investigating this hotel in Clay City, Kentucky, and so I have the first thing that happened in this, and it's just one hotel room. It's just one room in the hotel, but this one room has verified, you know, by records. It's had 4 people either killed or committed suicide in the room, and the last person just disappeared. They've never found the body. So, so like the owners always had all kinds of crazy stuff happen. They messed with the cameras. The female is a husband and wife that owned it. The wife, when she went to clean it, she would get scratched. You know, all kinds of crazy stuff. Well, the wife would never let anybody come and investigate it, because she didn't want to be tagged as a haunted location. They decided to sell the property, so the wife was like, "Well, let's get somebody to come look at it." So we somehow ended up being the team they contacted, and we decided to make the 6-hour trip. Of course,
Oh,
wow. So we get there, and you know, it's like you mentioned cat balls earlier. I'm not a big cat ball person. First of all, I've just never seen them work very well. Second of all, you know, almost anything can set it off. But anyway, we get there, and you know, it's your standard hotel room. You know, the little table, the long dresser, the 2 beds, the shit. You know, so we decided to set some more equipment out just to see what we got. So we set the cat balls on the dresser. And like I said, it's a long dresser, and it's perfectly flat. But so we set both cat balls out there. Something took one of the cat balls, just one of them, and pushed it all the way down the end of the dresser.
Oh, wow.
So that was the first sign we got. So through research and stuff, we found out that prior to this being a hotel, it was a place where kids were sold into slavery in the 20s and 30s. Because apparently it was relatively common in the hills of Kentucky that if you had too many kids, because apparently they didn't believe in birth control, so if they had too many kids, they would just sell them.
Wow.
Apparently it was relative. So anyway, so we figured out we were dealing with this kid spirit, and then we eventually figured out, through the long investigation, we were dealing with kids plus the spirit that was apparently the spirit of the people that bought the kids, because it was kind of a malicious spirit, and then there was another spirit that was kind of a protector. So that's where so anyway, so we set up everything. So we set the SLS up. We sit, and so we decided to move the cat bars over to the little table. It's your standard little table with 2 chairs. So, we have everything going. We have the voice recorder. We got the Paratech, and, we're communicating with the kids. And we're like, will you move the bars for us again? And it said, we can't. And so, so now I'm watching the SLS. And as you see, as it says you can't, you see what looks like 2 kids-type stick figures trying to push the bar. You actually see the arms going like this.
Oh, wow.
Nice. So, I mean, yeah, so that's like an awesome moment. So that's my best SLS story. So once again, if it's used right, I have no issue with it. So let's go old school. What is what's your guys' take on a K2 meter?
Yeah. I mean, we have our fair share of K2 meters. The places that I really like to use the K2 meters are like abandoned buildings. If we get access to an abandoned building, now let me say access. Yes, we literally make sure we don't break and enter. We get permission to go to these abandoned places. That's the only place where I really like to use K2 meters, because I know there's no flowing electricity. When we do use them in places that do have electricity, we test them out in each room to make sure, see if there's highs and lows before we use them.
And we also have not just one. We have
we have 2 to 3. We have 2 to 3 of them. So we'll scan areas inside the rooms before to see if we get any high meters or anything like that before we even start the investigation, just to make sure. But they're all over the place. I mean, we use them. I'm not gonna lie. We use them on most of our investigations. But it is what it is with those, I guess.
Well, I mean, I'm not anti K2 meter. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, you can't. Nobody can accuse me of that. It's another one of those devices, kind of like with the cat bars. I've just never seen it effective, I guess is the right term. In all my investigations, I did have a really good K2 activity last year. Believe it or not, it was actually during a dogman investigation. Not even as but I had really good K2 experience there. So once it's used properly, you mentioned abandoned buildings. Like you said, we always get permission. We're not urban investigators. We're paranormal investigators. So we always get permission.
That's one rule that me and Adam have had for the past 4 years. If we don't have permission to these locations, even cemeteries. I've called local places if we wanted to do a cemetery. I've gotten in touch with towns. I've gotten in touch with the police departments just to have access to these places, because we're about respecting these places.
Same thing here. And I mean, I'm good friends with the PVA here. So like, if it is an abandoned place, we make sure it's actually abandoned. And then if it actually is abandoned, like you said, we contact the cops and we're like, we're going to be investigating. Sarah. We're going to be investigating such and such place,
Other boss.
Just so you know. So yeah. So kind of like you said, a K2 kind of goes along, with a EMF meter. Basically the same thing. So
there is one investigation. I can't say much because it was a private in-home investigation. It was we had our K2 meter spike past the red. It clipped so far when we put it on the bed.
Mm-hmm.
And
it literally shut off.
yeah,
Like,
it went so much that it overpowered itself.
And it literally was like one by one. It wasn't like a quick.
It stayed.
It literally went doom, 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 all the way to the last one, and then it went off, and then back to the red, and then went down.
Yeah, and I probably took us a good maybe 10 to 15 minutes to try to figure out what was going on with this. We looked under the bed, we looked down we scanned everywhere, and it was hitting 0. But as soon as we put it on the middle of this bed, it spiked every time.
Mm-hmm.
Every time. And that was the only time I think we've ever seen the EMF meter work like that.
Oh, no.
I mean, we've had a couple glitches.
Your old apartment.
Yeah, we had at my old apartment. We had a couple glitches where it go yellow, orange. But to see it go past the red and off the meter, that was ridiculous.
And then back to the red,
yeah.
And then back down one by one.
That was cool. I'll have to say that was cool. That was something that I couldn't explain. Like I said, we tried figuring everything. We even picked up the mattress to see if there was anything under the mattress.
Right. Right, and that's what you got to do. Is if you get something like that, you have to try to debunk it. I hate that term, but you have to look for non-paranormal reasoning, because if you can't find something, if you can't find a cause that's not paranormal, that probably means it's paranormal. But so, and I like what you said about you walk through a building and get like a baseline. We do the same thing. We do especially if it's a residential private investigation. You say private, I use the term residential. 6 of one, half dozen of the other. That's part of our procedure. So, like, if somebody does call my team and wants us to do a residential investigation, and we actually do about 8 a year. Which is pretty good considering I'm in the middle of the Bible Belt. So but the first thing we do is we do a phone interview. And I actually do the phone interview myself. And I actually have a form that I've perfected over the years. And I go through that form and ask the questions. So at the end of that, if I think there's might be activity and I think we can help them, then we do a in-person interview. And the in-person interview, it's me, my 2 team leads, and then 1 other member. And when we get to the in-home interview, we actually ask the same questions that we asked on the phone interview, but this time we're writing them down, like an interview. And then me and Jill are asking the questions. I'm actually asking the questions. Jill is writing it down, and then Tiff is videotaping it. And of course, we have the voice recorder going too. And then while the 3 of us are doing the interview, the 4th member of the team is doing a walkthrough. They're doing a walkthrough with the EMF meter. They're doing a walkthrough with a K2. They're doing a walkthrough with SLS, everything. You get a baseline measurement. So, and then after we do that, if we think that they got activity and we think we can help, we actually do the investigation. And then after the investigation, we do the follow-up, and then we follow up every 3 months afterwards to make sure that they don't need our help anymore. We don't just say you're going. So I think the baseline is very important. So not really with a K2, but with the EMF reader. My EMF reader, I actually have a millimeter. That's actually what I use. Yep. So it's like it's like an EMF on steroids. So it's a little bit better. So one of the places that we go to quite a bit, we actually use it for training, is an abandoned hospital in Cairo, Illinois, which is actually one of my hometowns too. Well, the history of Cairo is actually a real live ghost town. During the Civil Wars in the 1940s and 1950s, it was actually a booming city. It was actually supposed to be bigger than Paducah. It was supposed to be the biggest city in the area, but racial riots destroyed it, and it never bounced back. So it went from like 35,000 people to 2,000.
Oh, wow.
So when I say it's a living ghost town, I mean it's a living ghost town. The theater is still there, abandoned. The hospital has been closed down and abandoned since 1988. So anyway, my uncle used to be mayor there. So I have the connections to get into these places that other people can't. So we actually go there to train our people. So I actually got 110 on the EMF reader there.
Oh, wow.
And like I said, there's absolutely no electricity. It's completely gutted. All the wires have been completely removed and everything. And the thing that was really interesting is that, like, whatever it was following us. Like, it would be like a 110, 70, 50, 100. And so it kept following us. So we get it followed us to the basement. And the basement, for some reason, always floods. And it's also where the morgue was, all this stuff. So we get to the basement, and at this time, it was flooded. Like, you had to step on floating pieces of the building to be able to move. So I straight out asked it. I'm like, "Are you trying to trap us in the basement?" And it says yes. I'm like, nice. So yeah,
good times.
good times. So, and I'm
what's up, Icy?
I'm that guy, I guess, because I do have the gift where I can see him and communicate with him. I've had it my whole life, so I'm that guy that if somebody's going to get scratched or attacked or whatever, it's going to be me. Like we was at the Anderson Hotel in Kentucky, and I actually got bit.
Oh wow,
that's actually their thing. They don't let people investigate there anymore. But they shut down for 4 years because of how violent the activity was. And then they reopened, and we were the second team to investigate it when they reopened, and then they shut it down again. But that's the thing. Like even their spirits bite. Well, me being me, you guys know how this goes already. I wanted to call bullshit on that. I've seen a lot of things. I've seen a lot of things in 30 years of investigating. I've been scratched. I've been pushed. I've had things thrown at me. But
same here.
Actually biting takes a lot. You know what I'm saying? That takes a lot.
Never been bit.
Never
been bit, but definitely scratched to the point where I had blood dripping down my leg.
Yep.
So the first thing you have to understand about the Anderson Hotel is, I call it the Anderson Hotel, but that's being nice. It's a transit hotel. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Yeah.
And the second thing you have to understand is they want it to be malicious. They want it to be like that. So when you get there, you do the walkthrough, blah blah blah. The first thing you realize is they still have the bloodstained mattress from the lady who committed suicide there. They have the bloodstained bathtub from the lady that committed suicide there. They still have all the liquor bottles from the guy who hung himself in the closet.
Wow.
So they want it to be like that. So long story short, I don't think I can make this story short, but so anyway, so getting into the story. So there's a couple of more known places in the hotel. The first place is the place where I ended up getting bit. It's a bathtub, and all these deaths, suicides are verified by coroner reports and police reports, because I verify all my stuff.
Yep.
Before I say, if it's not verified, I'll say it's rumored. If I say it's verified, it's verified. You guys know me well enough to know that. So they're verified. So the first one is this 33-year-old mother who committed suicide in the bathtub, and
oh, that's actually pretty badass.
I'm going to check that out. Mark,
same here.
Mark, send me that EMF 390 to my messenger so I can get me one of those. Okay.
Yeah, that'd be awesome, actually.
So it's it's the old school bathtub with the crawl feet. So she checked in with the purpose. She checked in. Her purpose in checking in there was to commit suicide because her husband and kid had just got killed in an accident.
Oh,
so
wow.
that was her response. So that's the first room you see. So then you continue on, and the first bloody mattress you run into, and notice I said the first one because there's more. The first one you run into, this 19-year-old girl came all the way from Michigan. There's this little bitty town in Kentucky, and I'm talking about this is a shithole. And she checks into this, and for whatever reason, you don't really know her story. You just know she checked in there and she committed suicide. Piecing together what you can, you'd have to say that she got her heart broke and she ran away to figure things out. So you get to this room, and in crayon, there's pictures that she drew with crayon and wrote Bible verses. and these pictures are hanging over the room, still on the room, and then she committed suicide on that mattress, and the bloodstained mattress is still there.
Wow.
So, and then so then you get to what they call the blue room, which is the one with all the liquor bottles. Well, that guy, he lived there, and he was just a dickhead in life. He was an alcoholic, so he drug himself to the point that he hung himself in the closet. Like I said, he was just a dickhead to begin with, and
yeah.
And while he lived there, he ran prostitutes in and out of the hotel. That's going to be important later, trust me. So, so those are the three most famous rooms, and so we start our investigation, and we start out all together in the bathroom where the lady committed suicide. Well, I ask, me being me, I decide I'm going to get in the bathtub because that's me. So I ask if I can get in the bathtub, and like I said, we're videotaping, we're voice recording, everything going. So I ask if I can get in the bathtub, and the answer we get is yes and no. I'm like, I can't do both. So I get in the bathtub. So I get in the bathtub, and half in, half out. So we get going with the interview. My usual questions. Well, it tells me to get out. So my thing is, I've been doing this a long time, and I don't scare easy. And I traveled a long way to do this investigation. It was a 5-hour trip. So I don't get out the first time I'm told to get out. My rule is you have to tell me to get out 3 times, and then I'll politely, so it tells me to get out, and I'm like, we're not getting out yet, blah, blah, blah. So we keep going. Eventually we get to the 3rd time to get out. So I'm like, okay. I was like, that's my rule, so we'll get on and move on. So like I said, it's the old-fashioned bathtub, so I have to have help getting out, so I'm hanging on to this. Yeah. So as I'm getting out of the bathtub, I feel what feels like a really deep Indian burn on my calf. It doesn't feel like a bite. It feels like an Indian burn, like a really good one, like your bully from high school did. I mean, I guess I was the bully in high school, but I mean,
yeah.
So anyway, so like the football player did, So anyway, so we get out of the bathtub and we go back to our makeshift base, where we finally have light, and I have what looks like a bite mark on my calf. I mean, a big bite mark. It actually looks like a double bite mark, maybe, or maybe something inhuman. I mean, it definitely looks like a bite mark. I'll send you the pictures later. I actually had a tattoo of it because I wanted to make sure I always had it with me. So I actually have it tattooed on my calf. So that was the first thing that happened. But me being me, I didn't leave yet. So at that time we divided up into teams. So the girls went to the suicide room because we had already figured out she communicated better with females than males. So the girls went there, and me and Dennis, we went to the blue room, the liquor bottles. So the first thing we did when we got to the liquor room is me being me and having my gift, I decided to get in the closet, where the guy actually committed suicide. So as soon as I get in the closet, all my energy is zapped, and I hit the ground.
Wow.
Dennis had to actually pull me. Yeah, Dennis had to actually pull me out of the building, out of the closet. So then we go to where the liquor bottles are, and we're doing a session. So 45 minutes later, it's time to rotate. That we rotate every 45 minutes, every 45 to 55 minutes we rotate. So I radio back to the girls because I know I know they're coming up to that room, and I radio back to them. I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen, and I'm not telling you not to come up here, but I'm telling you this spirit does not like females. I'm like, as the team leader, if I didn't tell you that, I feel like it would be that would be on me. So I was like, I'm telling you, just to be careful, So we switch, and the first thing that happens is my niece is on my team, and at that time she was 19, she's cute enough. So she decides to use the prostitute angle to see if she can get the guy communicating. So she's like, "I'm 19 and cute. Can I get a job?" So and we captured this EVP, and it's one of the clearest EVPs I ever got. And the EVP says $50 and free room.
Oh wow. Wow.
So
that's
yeah,
crazy.
that was crazy. So they kept going, and so what ended up happening was both Jill, who obviously was my team lead, both her and Tiff both kept getting touched, but eventually Tiff got grabbed in the female region.
Okay.
I guess that's the politest way to put it.
Yep.
And she radioed back, and at that point, I ended the investigation because there was a safety issue at that point.
Yeah.
Even though I drove 6 hours, that was still a safety issue. My team's safety is above everything else. So yeah, so that was crazy.
That is wow. That's insane.
Yeah, and we actually wanted to go back last year, and we actually had it scheduled, but they decided to put a new roof on the building, and then once they put a new roof, they decided they wasn't allowing anybody to investigate anymore.
Oh, wow.
So yes, yeah, it really, and the girls were even going to go back. I'm like, so
good for them. That's good.
Yeah, so that was a long story just to show, that I'm the person that's going to get bit or whatever. Another example is going back to the hospital there in Cairo. We were investigating we were actually hosting another team. We was hosting JB Coates and her team, and JB's a good friend. I don't know how much you guys know about JB, but JB's thing is JB likes to go live. That's her thing. She just likes to go live. So we're there, and I'm a little bit frustrated because I'm having to play tour guide instead of investigating. I want to investigate. I don't want to show people around. But anyway, so we're on the third floor, and what's interesting about the third floor is on the East Ring, when it was in operation, was the hospice ward. Because back in those days, when you was in hospice, you stayed at the hospital. You wasn't sent home like you are nowadays. Back in those days, you stayed at the hospital. So you had the hospice ward, and then in the center, you had the maternity ward.
Okay.
And then on the west side, you had the psychiatric ward. So this was an interesting floor. That was an odd combination, but that's how they had it. So
yeah.
I know. So
that's a hell of a floor plan.
Yeah. So yeah, Yankees. What can we say? So we were in the psychiatric ward, and the psychiatric ward, they had one verified. It was originally ruled a suicide, but it ended up being a murder. I mean, it was known to be a murder at the time. So long story short, it was this black guy who got convicted of raping a white girl.
Oh boy. Yeah.
It wasn't a rape. It was, but anyway. So
yeah,
and then he committed suicide in the psychiatric ward.
Yeah.
I know more about the story than I probably should have because my grandfather was the chief of police in the next town over, so he was the one that had to investigate the crime since it involved police officers. So anyway, so that's a little bit of history about the psychic ward. That and like I said, that's one. Besides your normal deaths in the hospital, the one other verified suspicious death there was on the roof, because a flat roof like most hospitals, the maintenance man, when the hospital shut down, he lost his job, so he committed suicide. He committed suicide on the roof. So anyway, we're in the psychiatric ward, and JB decides to go live, and I'm just there, and she's live with her with her phone, and then while she's doing her, we're live from the hospital. I get a big scratch across my face. Just live on camera, just gets a scratch across my face. So I'm that person that if somebody's going to get scratched or pushed, it's going to be me.
Yeah, I hear you on that one. been there, done that.
All
I
right.
always say it's probably because I'm the bigger of the two. Like I feel like they get intimidated with me, so I can always tell like when something's behind me or something's around me, and next thing you know, I'm scratched or touched. Or Adam gets touched a lot too. I think they like him a lot.
They probably think he's cute.
Yeah, it's that sexy beard he's got. You know, they're like, "Hey, how's it going?"
It's always in the brothel. You know,
It's for less change, never more.
Yeah. You know, like we went to one brothel, and I was like, "Oh crap! I forgot to make sure I had change." I had like 2 cents in my pocket. And I was like, I threw it on the little table. Oh, where was this?
I don't even remember where that was.
I threw 2 cents at the table. I was like, I'm cheap. What can 2 cents get me? And I got groped right in the center of the leg. I could literally go right from my knee to the center of my. I'm like, oh wow, that's all it takes.
2 cents was a lot of money back then.
Well, I guess that would actually be the most unique place I've ever investigated. I guess I actually investigated an in operation strip club in Louisville, Kentucky. It was actually still in operation. They thought they had activity. They ended up I ended up being able to confirm it, but of course, with it being a strip club, we usually start our investigations at like midnight and go through. So from midnight to 2:00, they're still open. So we're trying to investigate with these titties in our face and everything else going on. So
I mean, that sounds like a good investigation.
Hey, no complaints.
What's the name of this place?
Wait, hold on.
I think we need to go to the lap dance room to investigate some.
Wait, and again, what's the location so I can book it?
Wow, we just got canceled.
Just kidding. Just kidding, everybody.
So, for the record, I was 20 years old during that investigation. So yeah, so that was a very good investigation at that age. Nowadays, maybe not so much. So anyway, next question I got. I was actually 22, but it's close enough to 20. I was a lot younger than I am now. So next question, I actually started asking this question last year because it was a needed question. So as you guys know, for whatever reason, there's a lot of drama in the field anymore. So my question is, why do you think we have so much drama, and what can we do to make it better?
You want me to go first?
All right. Well, we see a lot of things that go on in the paranormal community. There's a lot of things behind the scenes that a lot of people don't know, and the paranormal community is not good right now. Don't get me wrong. There's great people out there. There really is, but we always say we need the old paranormal community back. And thankfully, we have an awesome family, the Get Haunted family. I don't care what anyone says. You can hate us all you want. We love this family. We met some amazing people. Rob and Sarah have gotten us so many places, got our foot in the door, and we got to meet people like you.
We wouldn't be where
we are without this family. And the one thing that I can't stand is the jealousy of other people that want to hate on these people and want to try to destroy these people. They're hardworking people trying to help teams like us do what we love. We love what we do. We don't like drama. We stay away from all that kind of stuff. But when you see our family, like Sarah and Rob, getting let down or getting destroyed, we're going to say something. We're going to be there to show they're the reason where we are. We've been doing this for 4 years. We met Rob at a paranormal convention in Connecticut, the beginning or the end of our first year starting. And we've been going strong with Get Haunted since. People need to realize this drama needs to stop. Let's all get together. Let's all work together. Let's all get the paranormal community back to where it used to be. We love what we do. We love people that we only work with people that have the same passion that we do. And it needs to stop. It really does. It drives us nuts. It drives him especially nuts. We can bring this back. We can get the community back to where it used to be.
That's why I keep it.
Yep. And it just, God damn, it gets me nuts because it's like, come on, people. It's not about jealousy. It's about, there's plenty of room for all of us. We can work together. We can get this passion back that needs to be back. When I started 20 years ago doing this, it was not even close to being like it is now. Everybody loved what they did. Everybody had the passion. And don't get me wrong, like I said, there is teams like us that do have the love and passion. You're one of them. Next of Kin Paranormal is another one that I know has love and passion. Digging Deeper Paranormal. Just everybody out there. There's tons of teams that love what they do, but people are trying to destroy that, and that needs to stop. It really does. It's getting ridiculous.
Well, you're talking to the peanut gallery here. I wholly believe, as you guys know, and I've talked about it a few times on the podcast, and, Rob and Sarah definitely know, Andrew, next to Ken, all the,
Yep.
I've been doing this for, as we know, 33 years now. And so when I get asked a lot, somebody gave me the nickname that I'm the OG of the paranormal field, but I don't know about that. That just means I'm old, I think. But so I get asked a lot, what's the difference between when I first got into it and now? And like you said, the difference is 20 years ago, 30 years ago, everybody was in the field for the same reason. We wanted to make the field better. We wanted to get that breakthrough evidence. We wanted to work together. It was all about the field. For some reason now, some of the veterans, not ours, definitely not ours, but some of them out there, they think that they have a spot on top of the totem pole, and these young people are trying to take their spot. That's bullshit. It's our job to train the younger generation, to make sure that they're doing it right, to make sure that we're working together, to make sure that we're trying to find that evidence. That's our job. You thinking that you're somebody special, that's bullshit. I've been doing this for longer than a lot of these people on YouTube and whatever's been alive. That don't make me special. That just means I have the passion, and I want to share that with people. I don't do it for money. I don't do it for fame. I do it because it's my passion. And I even go further, and especially with my gift and stuff, to me, this is my purpose in life. This is my calling. This is what God wants me to do. So this is what I was called to do. So that's why I'm so passionate about it. That's the reason all this drama, they can kiss my ass. Excuse my language. It's time to come back to.
I'm to the point where I really don't care anymore. Who we like is who we like. If we don't like somebody, fine, whatever. We still support them.
We still communicate.
Right. Yeah, you don't have to like everybody.
No, and the other thing that pisses me off too is everyone has different techniques of how they do how they investigate and how they do things in the paranormal. Everyone's not the same. Everyone's going to be out there doing different things, and we love learning from these other people. We've been working with some amazing people, and we've learned some amazing techniques, and it's about working together. The paranormal community should be working together. We're doing these locations, and I'm grateful for these location owners that let us come into these places. A lot of the places get shut down.
We give you a paranormal Hands Across America.
Yeah, it's just
my thing is how do I put this nicely?
You don't have to be nice in here. We're over 18.
Oh, okay. So my thing is because you have more views or you have this, and you again think you're better than someone, go fucking check yourself, because you want to know what? When we're all fucking 6 feet under, we're the same. Okay. And because you think your technique's better than mine, again, go fuck yourself, because my technique works for me. Your technique works for you. And if my grandfather always used to say, if people ain't talking shit about you, you ain't doing it right.
Right.
So keep talking shit about me. Keep putting my name in your mouth, or our two brothers in your mouth, or Get Haunted in your mouth, or whoever in your mouth, because that just means you wish you could be me.
Mm-hmm.
You wish you could be us. You wish you could be them. Instead of taking everybody down, how about you do what the OGs of the paranormal wanted, and for it to be normal to go fucking investigate, to talk about it, instead of trying to be the better person. Because when you think you're being the better person, you're the biggest piece of shit I know.
In my eyes, you're just a keyboard warrior hiding behind those keyboards, typing along on that computer.
You know, but exactly. Back when there wasn't technology to share everything, it was great.
Mm-hmm.
Because you could talk to another paranormal investigator over the phone or in person and actually go over what you got. You know, it's not hard. It's not hard for a lot of these people to go, I'm behind the camera. Oh, did you hear that? To get that view. So you know what? Right there. That's how do I say that better
and
than
the one thing I'll come out and say it right now
too.
We are
Mike,
Two Brothers
hold on.
Extreme Paranormal.
Did you hear that? Yeah, no.
We are Two Brothers Extreme Paranormal. You can find us on Facebook. You can message us. You can do whatever you want. We are part of the Get Haunted family.
Yes.
I'm proud of it. We're
All
the
day,
mercenaries
every day.
for the Get Haunted family. Very proud of it. And if you have a problem, come find us on our page. I would love to chat. And better yet, you know what? We have a podcast. Come on, let's have fun. Let's do some talking. And I will always support everyone, no matter what. We will support everyone.
I'll even support if you hate us, or if you hate the Get Haunted family, or you hate this group or that group. I'll still support you.
Mm-hmm.
You want to know why? Because that's what the paranormal community and family is about.
Mm-hmm.
Is no matter what my beliefs are, what your beliefs are, what you believe in investigating, or what your thoughts are, you know what? If it works for you, great.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I completely echo all that. You know, my thing I've always said, I'll work with anybody as long as you're not faking shit. I mean, if you're faking stuff, I don't want anything to do with you.
Absolutely. I agree 100%.
But otherwise, if our techniques are different, who cares? You know, learn from each other. You know, Sarah said when she was on the episode, you know, you can never dismiss somebody else's experience. You know,
Exactly.
just because they didn't get it the same way you did. You know, and you know, as you guys know, and I'm sure everybody on here knows, you know, I'm part of the Get Haunted family too. I'm proud of it. You know, going back to, you know, show how old I am. You know, if you ain't down with that, I got 2 words for you. But seriously, you know, we need to get back to the point where we're all working together, not talking, not just because we got our butts hurt and we hurt our feelings. So you go talk. This ain't high school anymore. This is,
you know, what
life.
the main focus right now should be for the paranormal community is helping these locations, supporting these locations.
Right.
Is working on these places, keeping them going, especially during these times where it's hard for people to pay bills. They're out there keeping these amazing, beautiful buildings up and running for people like us to come in and investigate.
One of them is one we're doing a public event.
Yeah, one of them, Willie
House.
Hassel, our good friends up in New Hampshire. He's got an amazing, beautiful place. He lets us come up there.
And
the James House.
This is our second time going there.
Mm-hmm. And he tries to give us money all the time to host this public event, and I say, no, Willie, keep it. Put it in the building. We don't want it. And I thank all these amazing owners that bust their asses every day, every week, that keep these places up and running for us.
You know, and
that's what it's all about.
Back to the Get Haunted family. You know, one of the amazing places, and again, back to the favorite, the one that hits home with me, Mid-O.
Mm-hmm.
We would have never been able to get in the middle if it wasn't for Get Haunted.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, like this
And
shit needs to stop, people.
and
Anyone's watching, let's band together. Let your voices heard.
Yeah.
Time to get your voices out there.
Yeah. And,
let's bring back the community the way it used to be.
And to the thing is, the last big, one of the bigger Paracons, which is the Warren's Paracon that we did, again, back to my short bladder, I'd gone to use the restroom, come back, and one of the people actually asked me, what would you think that the OGs of the paranormal community, the Warrens, would think of the way it's going now, the community. And to be honest, I think they'd be disgraced of all the drama and the hate. I can't speak for them, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But
and shout out to Nesper, by the way.
Yes, Nesper.
Dan Rivera and all those guys. We love those guys too.
Those are the OGs. They didn't care about the drama. They cared about helping people. They cared about the investigation. They cared about their passion of the paranormal community.
Yeah, like I said, it used to be about making the field a better place, finding the evidence, helping the locations, and I'm going to say this, and then we're going to move on, because honestly, we could talk about this all day just because it's so wrong. I'm actually going to say two things. I lied, but it's my podcast. I can do that. The first thing is, the first thing is, the bullshit was the bullshit. The drama was the drama for a while. It was all high school stuff. But now you got people, messaging venues and other stuff. That shit crosses the line. That's not right nowhere. So that shit definitely needs to stop. And then, I'm just going to say a little bit more about Sarah and Rob, just because I think they deserve it. My point I was getting to earlier, then I got kind of sidetracked, but that's okay. As we know, I've been doing this for 33 years. I might get emotional, guys. Sorry, excuse me. So I had to take 3.5 years off, away from the field, away from what I love, because I had to recover from brain and spine surgery. I really just got back into it 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago, and Rob and Sarah helped me get my voice back. They helped me see that I still belong. So to that, I'll be eternally grateful for. And, I will fight beside them. I'll fight beside you guys to the end. So,
Same
with that being said, just like you guys said, it's just time for us to come back together. So next question. Are we ready?
Let's go.
This is kind of one of those deeper questions. So, how do you guys think the para-pop culture, yes, that's my word. You guys know that's my word. I've been using that for a while. How do you guys think the para-pop culture has affected the field, both positively and negatively? And for clarification for the people watching, when I say para-pop culture, I'm talking about like the shows, the YouTube channels, the people who think they're celebrities. How do you think the para-pop culture has affected the field, both positively and negatively?
Well, you want to go first?
This is a tough one.
I got this.
You don't think they're all going to be cupcakes, Steve?
Adam, go for it. I want to see what you got to say first.
So, the para-pop culture, I think, has done some good for the paranormal family and culture. The good is they get to show these amazing locations. Okay. So more people can go to these amazing locations and support these amazing locations and keep them alive for us in the paranormal culture. The negative, I think a lot of people look at the views and go, oh, I'm not getting a lot of views. But if I run out of this place or I make this, it brought a lot for the fakers. And I think it's wrong, So, yeah, it's great because we get to show these great locations and you get to see a lot of great teams share their passion, but the negativity of it is just the fakeness and allowing the hatred to be out. That's mine.
Yeah, we started doing last year we did something where we picked 6 bucket list locations or favorite locations that we've been to or wanted to go to, and we kind of did a mini series on YouTube. And from what I've learned from doing this is if you're not running out of a location screaming, you're not going to get the likes. You're not going to get. I mean, like I told you in the beginning, with our videos, it's all raw stuff. We show you what we got. There's times when it's gonna be quiet. I mean, not gonna lie. I mean, we've gone to some of the most extreme places and we've gotten nothing. And we'll show you that because that's what the paranormal field is really like. You're not seeing these TV shows where, oh my God, no, these people are on there for like 7 days trying to fill that 1 hour gap.
Or 2 weeks.
2 weeks. We're there for 12 hours and we're trying to get you something great. And there's times where nothing happens. It's honest, the truth. Like, you're not going to have an all active time 24/7. People think sometimes with the paranormal, oh my God, it's haunted. It's going to be active the whole time. No,
there's plenty of locations.
No, yeah.
A great location up in New York. Here's a week on Hinsdale. Crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy. And we're like, oh, we're going back. We're going back. And there was like one thing happened.
A couple things here and there.
Then we go back again, and it's great. You know, that's the thing is people think that, you know, you can walk into these buildings or these houses or this property or wherever and go, hey, we're filming an episode or we're videoing. Be active with us. Come on.
Yeah.
Just turn on the light switch.
So that's where I think some of the YouTube stuff has kind of ruined the paranormal field, but there is some amazing teams on YouTube that I highly suggest people checking out. Like one of them is actually part of the Get Haunted Family Paranormal Theory. They're like us. They get some great stuff and they bust their asses like all of us. But there's some shows that you're like, okay, they're pushing it a little bit too much. You can tell there's some acting, it seems like, going into it, but you just never know. I mean, it's a hit or miss.
I mean, would we all love to be on TV? Sure. Is that our goal? Absolutely not.
No.
Would we all love to be rich and famous from YouTube and the TV? Sure. Is it our goal? Absolutely not.
Mm-hmm.
So, just kind of elaborating kind of what you said and adding to it. So, so one thing I think the paranormal field, the pop culture has made it better is if you take me as an example, like I said, I was born and raised here, not only in the Bible Belt, but in the heart of the Bible Belt. So growing up, I used to get a whole lot of, oh, you must worship the devil, blah, blah, blah. And so at least with the pop culture, it's made it where you can talk about it. I still get some of the, oh, you must talk to, but some now I also get the, oh, you mean like ghost hunters. Well, so, at least it's made it okay to talk about.
Yeah.
So, and like you said, like you guys said, what people have to realize is on these TV shows, they're there for 3-4 days a week, to get an hour worth of content, and they're showing what the producer wants you to see, not necessarily what the team, the investigation team wants you to see. Take TAPS for example. When TAPS started, it was a good thing, and they were there for 72 hours or more at a location, and you saw 90 minutes of it.
Yep.
And they, sometimes they got stuff, sometimes they didn't, because that's how it really is. That's not what the people wanted. When the people tune into it on TV, that's not what they want to see. That's not what the sponsors want to see. That's not what the network wants to see. So that's why you get the people renting out and that stuff. So, So that's kind of the negative. And, for whatever reason, some of the YouTubers, and like you said, there's good ones out there like Paranormal Theory is definitely a good one, and there's other ones. But then you got these other ones that the only thing they want to do is yell demon, and they get more likes.
That needs to stop. The whole demonic thing needs to stop. They need to stop throwing that name in the headlines. They're only using that for clickbait. That's the one downfall.
We talked to a demonologist that's been doing it. What did he say? 45 years?
Something like that. Yeah.
45 years. Older guy. And he said out of the thousands of cases he did, 1% of the thousands of cases he did were actually demonic.
Right.
Here's a guy who's doing it 45 years.
Yeah.
He's done, when I mean thousands, I forgot the exact number, but when he said thousands, okay, that's 10,000 plus more locations. Okay. 1%.
Well, but even if you take the Catholic Church, Catholic Church actually keeps records of their exorcisms. And they have, like, I think last time I heard a number, out of all the years that they've kept records, there's only been 5 verified demonic cases. I actually took demonology training under Bishop Long. So, and in my 33 years, I can't say I've ever done a demonic case.
Yeah,
I've done some malicious ones, but
we've done cases where things weren't happy. They were angry, but we weren't calling it demonic.
But if you were a dickhead when you were alive, you're going to be a dickhead when you're a ghost. I mean,
exactly. I mean, that's pretty much what's going to happen with us.
So going back to Sarah, she made a point when she was on the show, because like I said, I don't like people who fake stuff. So Sam and Cody, I'm not going to go too much into that, but to me, Sam and Cody is the Spice Girls of the paranormal field. Not even the boy band.
That road.
Because they're just raising prices on stuff. But would I like to have the money? I would love to have the money. But the thing that Sarah pointed out to me is all these people that are screaming demon, and then the people like Sam and Cody, the people that tune in to see their videos are not the same people that's going to tune in to see my videos or Paranormal Theory. They're going for the sensationalism. They're not going for the real. As much as we don't like them, they still serve a purpose on the field. So that's the good or bad. So I don't want to harp too much on the bad. I like to be positive. Like we said, it's time for us to get back together. So the next thing I like to do is lightning rounds. I got 2 lightning rounds I like to do. The first one we'll discuss different kinds of locations to investigate, and you guys give your opinions on whether you have investigated them, whether you would, that kind of thing, and we get kind of specific in this round. And I say that so, for example, jail and a prison are separate locations. A hospital and asylum, separate locations. I say that for clarifications because I've had a couple of episodes where my guests try to answer like a hospital and asylum together. No, those are technically different locations. So okay, we got it. Are we good? We understand the rules. We're going to play the grand prize game now. Okay, Bozo the Clown.
Well, what's
the prize?
What's the prize?
You get to be part of my prayer family.
There we go.
All right. That's a perfect prize.
So before we move on from the pop culture and that stuff, I do have one more kind of side question I want to ask you guys. Just get your opinions on it. So I have friends that you would count as para-celebrities or part of the pop culture. I mean, you guys do too. One of my good friends, one of my best friends in the field is Gavin Kelly.
Okay.
So we're from the same hometown. We're both from Paducah. And so is Trevor. So Trevor, Faith, and
no, I'm just kidding. Trevor. Trevor's awesome. We love Trevor.
I asked Trevor about the first time he went on an investigation with me. We ended up getting the cops called on us.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody they try to say we were trespassing, but as you know, I always contact the PVA and everything, so we knew we wasn't trespassing. But yeah. She called the cop, who happened to be a good friend of mine too. So yeah, it was an interesting situation. So me and Gavin was talking about this a couple of years ago. I was a speaker at his little mini paracon that he had in here, and we were discussing the para-unity. And his exact statement was that para-unity is dead. It's just so. My question really is though: did para-unity ever really exist, or was it just a mirage for people to disguise their hatred for other people? So, what's your take on para-unity?
I believe it was there. I believe there was a para-unity. I mean, like I said, I've been doing this for 21 years, and I believe back in the day there was. Do I think it's alive still to this day? No. Do I believe people are using that as a headline for certain things? Yes. But I more rather hear as the paranormal community now, not para-unity.
Right? Yeah, I don't use the term para-unity. I mean,
Yeah.
you guys let me say
It's
you guys
just-
have.
That was way back in the day. Yeah, there
Right.
was. I'll have to admit, yes, there was para-unity back in
Yeah.
the day.
But in my opinion, there was para-unity. But back in the day when there was para-unity, you didn't have to put a label on it. It was just there. It was just the way it was.
I agree.
And that's the reason I don't use the para-unity now. You guys are you're my para-fam, your family.
Yep, exactly.
You know, that's what. So yeah, I just want to get your opinion on it. Now, are you ready for the speed round?
All right, let's do this.
Let's start out with cemeteries. What's your take on investigating a cemetery?
We've done some cemeteries in the past. We've done several of them in Connecticut. One of them was actually Ed and Lorraine's cemetery. It's a hit or miss. Again, with it being outdoors, it's kind of hard with the elements that you're dealing with outside.
Yeah,
you know,
noises
you have cars constantly driving by, or you have people talking on the streets, and so it's hard. But I mean, yeah, we've done cemeteries before.
I like them. At Ed and Lorraine's cemetery.
I think it was called Stephanie. I can't remember what it's
Yeah,
called.
I actually drive by it all the time for my work, and I'll actually drive by and I'll be like, "Hey Ed, hey Lorraine," just because it's my the respect thing, because I'm drive by and I know that's where they're buried. But
it's all about respect.
yeah,
Yep.
we were investigating, and I actually asked if Ed and Lorraine were there, and it was one of the. It was either was it the app or the
It was EVP.
or it was EVP.
Yeah,
and
we had a voice that sounded like him too.
It said just Ed. Like,
That's cool.
you know, like how do you debunk that?
Mhm.
You know, like
Yeah.
because like we do try to debunk stuff because you
Right.
want to give the most accurate and real life responses. So, I mean, I do like cemeteries.
Yeah. Could it be one that, I mean, they're fun if you're looking for something to do and you respect the place and the location.
And a lot of them, not a lot of them, but some of them are, 24-hour
Yeah.
cemeteries, like where the gates aren't closed and it doesn't have a sign that says after, dusk, dawn to dusk.
I like the history too of the cemeteries.
Yeah.
I like seeing the old tombstones and all the stuff, how they used to do stuff back in the day.
And sometimes, Mike will catch me like clean because I like landscaping and stuff. So there'll be an overgrown stone or something. You take care of it. You clean it up. I'll pull the stones that are flat in the ground. I'll be pulling the overgrown grass or whatever. So I do like cemeteries actually.
So I got kind of an unusual take of cemeteries for the paranormal. I mean, you guys, you live where you live. You have the old cemeteries, so that's cool. So you have the history. Um, so my thing with cemeteries is I'm not anti-cemetery, but it's not my thing. Unless I'm specifically looking for a to communicate with somebody particularly, or I'm asked to go there. I just don't, because my take on cemeteries down here it's a little bit different up there because, like I said, you guys have the historic cemeteries. So
we have some beautiful old, very old cemeteries up here.
Yeah, yeah. So like down here, you know, like I have a cemetery literally right across the street from my house, and so but it's a newer cemetery. So yeah, so to me, and that nobody lived there, nobody died there, so there's really no reason for anybody to be attached there. So,
Yep.
but with that being said, there are exceptions to that. Like we have another cemetery locally that I actually investigate. I go there at least once a year. It's called Camp Boulevard. Why it's called Camp Boulevard is because before it was a cemetery, it was a Confederate basic training camp.
Okay.
And 5,000 soldiers died there from smallpox and different things before they even went to war. So there's a history. There's a history there. Also, there's a witch's grave that's there. I mean, obviously, she wasn't really a witch, but in Western Kentucky in the 1890s and early 1900s, if you wasn't a Christian, you were a witch. She was actually a Cherokee medicine woman, and she's buried there. And to go along with that, back in the 1890s, early 19th century, when they buried witches to keep them from coming back, they either built a fence around it or they put a log chain over it. And her grave actually used to have the log chain over it.
Okay.
It's been
interesting.
Yeah, it's been vandalized since then. But anyway, so we get lots of activity there. Another cemetery that we got a lot of activity from is going back into history. If you guys know who Edward Casey is, he was so Edward Casey is from Hopkinsville, Kentucky, which is an hour and a half from here, and we actually go to the cemetery where his grave is once a year.
Oh wow!
And we actually get pretty good activity there. And without skipping ahead, there's also a chapel in this cemetery. I mean, in the cemetery, and
Nice.
And it used to be the poor people's chapel when they couldn't afford to go to the good churches. They were actually cremated and everything in this chapel. So
Wow.
it's actually a really cool location.
That's cool.
So cemeteries can be a really cool place. Like you guys have said over and over again, just make sure you have permission before you go.
And respect the cemeteries.
Yep. I say no matter what you're respecting, whether it's a cemetery, a house, a location, you have to respect everything. The location, the living, the not living, everything. It's all about respect. So,
absolutely.
All right. So next location we're going to talk about is how about a school? How do you guys feel about investigating a school?
We've never.
Well, we did that one. It used to be a school.
I don't even remember.
But it was
schools would be kind of cool. I mean, there's a lot of history with schools, depending on how long the school was actually built or has been around for.
And if it was just a school, or
just thinking about the amount of energy that has gone through that building, if it was an older school, with every child and every person that stepped foot through those doors. And again, the other thing too is what kind of land the school was built on. That has a lot to do with it too.
Yeah, because a lot of schools were better on the cheapest land you could get at the time. So yeah, so I kind of got I love schools. Like you said, it's one of those places that you might not get a chance to investigate that often. So I would love to investigate my old high school. My old high school is not a high school anymore. I guess that's another sign I'm old. It's now a middle school because they consolidated the county schools. But when I was so anyway, my high school was the location of the first of the recent series of high school shootings. It was the
Okay.
one. It was the one before Columbine.
Yep.
So I went to school at Heath High School in West Paducah. So it was the first. So I think that there would be a lot of energy from that.
We have Newtown. Was that about 20 minutes from here?
40,
Half hour?
40.
40? Yeah. Newtown School. That's right down. That's about probably about 40 minutes from
And
here.
actually, it's not there anymore. But my wife's aunt, her kids were in that school. They weren't killed in the shooting, but so I mean, just to investigate. My aunt-in-law actually lives down the street from the house that used to be there of the kid and family. I'd like to investigate that property because no house will ever be built on that property. But I mean, just to try to get answers. I mean, that'd be cool.
Mm.
You know,
It's a sore subject.
It
That's
is.
a tough one.
you know,
An elementary school was
schools are still
that's tough.
Schools are tough because that's where you expect your kids to go to be safe.
Exactly.
So,
And going into Heath, from my personal standpoint, I had already graduated by then. But the shooter, Michael Cornell, I knew him pretty well. I was actually his youth leader at the time. So my theory, so they say he was bullied, blah blah blah, but my theory is completely different because I know stuff that maybe the cops don't know really. Like I don't want to get too into this because I get emotional, but I know that his girlfriend had just broke up with him because his girlfriend was actually the one in my youth group. He just came with her. So this is how really I knew them. So exactly 10 days prior to the shooting, we was in Steak and Shake in Paducah doing the Macarena.
Oh wow.
So if that shows you how close I am to this. So
yeah.
So his girlfriend had just broke up with him, and he aimed at the prayer group that was at the school, and she was one of the officers in the prayer group. So to me, that's what the shooting was about. So anyway, so that's it. So yeah, and then we have another school that we've actually investigated. This was actually the location that Trevor was with us. It was actually the African American school in a little bitty country town in Western Kentucky, and it got turned into a church, and now it's abandoned. And we've investigated it a bunch of times. We've never really got any activity in the church part, but we've always got a lot of activity in the classroom part because it's still got the blackboard and all that stuff. So yeah, so it can't have, but like I said, you have to do your research because all schools have the urban legends too. You've not been to a high school where you haven't heard a story about so and so committing suicide in the bathroom. So you have to do your research. So
there's a lot of energy, lots of energy with schools.
So let's talk about a hospital. What do you guys feel about a hospital?
So
hospitals.
I spent a lot of time in hospitals with a lot of family. Most recent, my mother. And when my mother was sitting in hospice care and she had been sleeping, there was no people in each side of her. And monitors that shut off have been beeping. So hospitals, I like them. They're a lot of energy, especially if there's no power there. Okay.
Old hospital in College Hill.
Yeah.
That's one of our favorites too.
Old hospital on College Hill. It was a great time, great investigation. And we went down to the was it infirmary?
Mhm.
You know, and the guy, I was like, oh man, I want to open it up and see if if there's anything remaining in there. And someone goes, I don't think that's a good idea. And I'm like, it can't be bad. And I opened the little door, but the door. And that was the end of it for me. I felt like someone was taking a knife with jagged edges and stabbing me in my stomach.
Mhm.
Because I feel like I should. It was like them saying you shouldn't open that.
Mhm.
That's their final resting place. That's where they went to be cremated. And I disturbed it. So, but Old Hospital on College Hill,
That was a good night. That was a fun place.
I'd go back.
Oh yeah.
If it was.
I mean, hospitals alone just have so much history to them, just between the people that have come
energy.
through there and people have died there. I mean, they see everything.
Born.
Yeah, you got both sides of life. You got the people coming into the world and the people leaving the world. So you got both energies.
You have everything coming in there.
Yeah.
I mean, even with the psych, some of them have the psych wards in the hospitals too. So I mean, you're gonna have murderers that are coming in there. You're gonna have people that have been murdered coming. I mean,
there's people that have been born in a hospital and died in the same hospital.
Yep. Yeah. So hospitals are good. Like I said, we're going to have to figure out somehow. I know it's a long drive. We need to get you guys down here to me so we can go to that abandoned hospital I was telling you about. And then there's a couple other places we go, but you guys will love that. So talking about active hospitals still in operation. So my father-in-law, who is a skeptic, what's interesting is even though he's skeptical about like ghosts, he believes in UFOs. But anyway, so he's a skeptic. Not only is he a skeptic, but he's a Baptist pastor, like an old school Baptist preacher.
Okay.
So he's at the hospital. So he's at the hospital here in Mayfield having some procedure. I think it was a gallbladder surgery. Anyway, so he's having gallbladder surgery, and obviously he knows I do this. Matter of fact, my two sons actually go with me sometimes. They're actually part of my team. So he knows that we do it. My wife don't. She loves the paranormal, but she doesn't want to go investigate with me. She likes to see my evidence. But anyway, so my father-in-law obviously knows. This is my calling. This is my passion. So he's there having his gallbladder surgery. It's like 11 o'clock at night, and of course my father-in-law is usually in bed by 9, but he's in the hospital. So he texts me. He's like, Kent, you need to come to the hospital right now and investigate my room. So hospitals could definitely be a good place.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So how about asylums? How do we feel about asylum?
Oh, one of my favorite places. I love asylums. I mean, I'm down for anything that has to do with an asylum. We've been to many. Rolling Hills, Penhurst, Norwich State Hospital.
Even Norwich State Hospital, everybody hears it is Norwich State Hospital, but it was for the mentally ill.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't label it as an asylum.
Nope.
But trust me, again, our camera guy, Foster, his grandmother ran it. Big Mama ran it. That's what they call her. I mean, easiest way to explain it, why they call her Big Mama. So my hand's this big. Her hands were 3 times the size of mine. She was a very strong, big German woman, and or German Irish, I think. The stuff he told me, because he grew up there, so he was a kid, and when Grandma was watching him, and she had to go to work back then, you took your kids to work. He even said that's one place we got to go because the activity that was there when it was operational was amazing.
Yep.
So I think asylums are great.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love asylums. The only thing I tell people, like obviously I love asylums, as we know, Penhurst is my bucket list location. And like I said, when I make it, you guys are coming with me, so be ready for that. But one thing I tell people that they have to understand on asylums, like even Ravenly Hills, which was technically a tuberculosis, ended up being an asylum. But everybody's like, oh well, we got touched. It must be a malicious spirit. Not necessarily. What people have to realize, especially when it comes to asylums, a lot of the patients there, they couldn't see, they couldn't talk. No. So them grabbing you is just them trying to communicate with you.
Yep. So one thing I can tell you about Penhurst is, well, the story alone with Penhurst is just upsetting. It's a very upsetting situation with the whole thing that they went through. And a lot of
I did a whole episode on it.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that you don't get much EVP and stuff at asylums because these kids were dropped off at these places for disabilities and some of them didn't learn how to talk, didn't know how to communicate. Mm-hmm. So they were using the equipment that we had, like the REM pods, by touching them or by making like other noises because they didn't know how to communicate. Yeah, they didn't know how to communicate by speaking. So that was the one thing that I tell people all the time. Some of these asylums, it's messed up situations that these kids went through.
And some of them just dropped off because they misbehaved.
Yep.
I mean, luckily we didn't have asylums when I was growing up because hell, I would have been in one.
Same here, probably.
I mean,
is that what that building my parents dropped me off on was?
I was by every definition a trailer park kid. I mean, so I would have been in one. So I definitely agree on. So the last one I got, we could do locations or not, but the last one I want to touch base on is how about a prison? Have you guys ever investigated a prison?
Oh yeah, we've done prisons. Mid Orange Correctional Facility. That's one of our favorite ones. You want to talk about history of prisons? Just inmates alone, just from their history or things that have happened inside prisons while the inmates were there.
Look at what's the
one? Eastern State.
Yeah, we had a day tour.
Yeah, we were
and the activity just during the day tour.
Yeah, we had a chance to do Eastern State Penitentiary. That was a fun location. And so the older the jail, the more activity I feel like too.
Yeah. So the most famous prison that I investigated, I guess, would be Brushy State Penitentiary there in Tennessee. And I hate to use it. Yeah, so the place that I got the most activity there was the cafeteria, the mess hall, whatever you want to call it. And, everybody talks about like death row and everything. Really, definitely the cafeteria. And then when I was first, going over my evidence and everything, I was like, why the cafeteria? But the more I got to thinking about it, that's really where the interaction and everything happened. Mm-hmm. When they were in their cells or when they were in solitary confinement or whatever, they were by themselves. So the cafeteria, that's where they actually had interaction. So it really makes sense.
Or the yard.
Or the yard. And then like you were saying about the older it is, here in Franklin, Kentucky, which when you say Franklin, Kentucky, everybody automatically thinks about Octagon Horror. But you also have the old stone jail there. And the old stone jail is an old, it's an old stone jail. I mean, just like it says. And there's a lot of activity there. I actually got some of the craziest thermal recording I've ever got. Like they still have 3 of the cells there, and of course they're empty. And I got what looked like 2 inmates fighting on the thermal camera.
Oh, wow.
So it was crazy. I actually have a brick from the old stone jail. That's part of my collection of artifacts. I got it legitimately. I didn't steal it. I mean, you guys know me better than that. I'm saying that for the viewers out there. They had a silent auction of a couple bricks to raise money to try to keep the location open. So I got it legitimately. I actually have 2 bricks in my collection. The other brick is the most haunted place that we had here in Mayfield, Kentucky, was actually Hall Hotel. When the tornado came through 4 years ago and destroyed the whole town, the Hall Hotel was one of the things it destroyed. Not
Wow.
only was Hall Hotel the most haunted place in Mayfield, it was the oldest building in Mayfield. So when they tore it down, it was really sad. But I actually have a brick from it too. So yeah. All right. Here's our next lightning round. Our next lightning round, we're going to discuss the different types of hauntings. I don't really like using the term haunted. I usually use the term active because I found that if you say haunted, everybody always assumes it's negative, and it's not necessarily negative. So I usually say active. But so let's talk about the different kinds of activity. Okay, are you ready?
No.
Let's start out with residual. What do you guys think about that residual activity?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, especially when you go into some of these homes that we've been into, like our residential cases, you're going to have the residual. It's someone that was doing something their whole life over and over again. I actually live in a place that had residual hauntings, and you know what? The best thing I did was just leave it alone. If it's not going to bother me, I'm not going to bother them.
I mean,
they're just doing their daily activity.
Our old camera guy, Foster, he lived in an old farmhouse, and like the cabinets used to keep opening, and we're like, what the hell? And it came to be just the old farmer used to just forget which cabinet was which. So he would just open the cabinets, and then it turned into a game. We'd be like, hey, hey, old farmer, blah, 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 shut the cabinet, and it would shut,
Yeah.
So residual is just someone that lived in the building or on the property that was in a routine, and you take over the routine. Or if you change the house, you start remodeling a place or a house, you're changing where they used to live.
Yep. And from experience, a lot of times when you change the house, when you make it, whatever you do to the house, when you modify the house, a lot of times that will increase the activity, usually in a negative way. If you move into your old house that you think has activity, or that it has activity, you better ask for permission before you start. So so my experience with a residual haunting, and for the people viewing, which I'm sure everybody understands this. So residual haunting is like a glitch in the matrix. It's just like a video
on replay,
same loop over. So we have this place, the one I mentioned earlier, that was the African American hotel, during segregation.
Yeah,
I've literally investigated this place a dozen times at least. Matter of fact, this is traditionally where we have our one public investigation that we do each year is traditionally there, and we usually do it on National Ghost Hunting Day, the last Saturday in September. This year, I'm actually doing my Paracon on that day. So
nice.
I actually don't think we're investigating the hotel this year, just because I've done it 12 times. And how many times can you investigate a location?
Yeah.
But anyway, so anyway, the one of the famous spirits there is believed to be the owner, and she's interesting anyway, because obviously she was a black lady and she was a black business owner, which there wasn't very many of those during segregation. Well, she tried to open the hotel. She tried to get her husband to open the hotel, and he refused to use his money for it. So when he died, she used his name to open the hotel. So she's just an interesting person anyway. So anyway, the residual activity is 11:01. I don't know why 11:01, but that's the way it's always been said. At 11:01, she comes down the staircase. That's all she does, just comes down the staircase. And so I've tried to capture this every time I've investigated it. Matter of fact, at like 10:55, we shut down the whole investigation. Everybody comes downstairs and sets up their equipment to see if we can capture it. So the next to last time I investigated there, we actually had a film crew with us for Belmont University. They're in Nashville, and we actually captured on film what it looked like her walking down the staircase, and even moved the curtain. With her walking, like she brushed the curtain and it moved it. So that's my residual hunting story. So,
Gotcha.
so traditionally, residual hauntings have always been believed to be the most common. But I had a guest on last season that actually made a point, and I kind of agree with her that really intelligent hauntings might be the most common because we actually interact with intelligent, so we actually know they're there. So anyway, that's my lead in to talk about intelligent hauntings. How do you guys feel about an intelligent haunting?
I think there is.
Yeah, we've dealt with intelligent hauntings. I mean, we've gotten pretty intelligent responses, pretty intelligent activity that has happened with the places. Do I think it's one of the top things? I don't know. I mean, I think more of the cases that we've dealt with were probably residual. But I like intelligent when they respond to what you have to ask. If it's from sending back an EVP to a question that we ask, or if we tell somebody to knock on the wall and you hear a knock, that to me is pretty good for intelligent. I mean, I think there's just, I mean, they were human beings. They're just as smart as we are, so I think they're pretty intelligent when you ask it to do something and it responds immediately.
No argument here. I mean, I can go on and on about intelligent hauntings evidence, like you said, EVPs, moving stuff, Yeah. For the people who use Ouija boards, Ouija boards, intelligent communication, So, yeah. All right. So let's talk about poltergeist activity. What do you guys think about poltergeist activity?
Well, I'll go first because I have to get my son.
Yeah, he has to go pick up his child. He was supposed to pick him up by 9.
It's all right. So poltergeist, I think it's there. We've asked spirits to move stuff. We asked, prime example, Norwich State Hospital, where and they threw the granite and the table. If there's enough energy, yeah, it can happen. It can. It's out there.
It's not like the movies, though, people. No. Heads are spinning around, puking up green. Yeah. It's a whole different ballgame.
That's my thing. So,
yeah.
Sorry to cut a little short on my time. Just
go get your son. We understand.
Yeah.
I've only doubled my time, so it's okay.
Yeah, no problem.
So here's my question on poltergeist activity. I mean, I agree with it, but how do you differ poltergeist activity from just a intelligent activity that just wants to move stuff? How do you differ that?
Poltergeists will move whatever the hell they want.
Yeah.
If you ask an intelligent spirit to move something, and they do, that's intelligent.
Yeah,
but if you're walking and something just flies behind you,
there's probably different movement between the two, too.
With the granite,
yeah,
at the table.
There's different. I think when they want to throw something for attention, or when they're throwing something because they mean it.
All right. If they're throwing something at your head, that's poltergeist.
Yeah.
Again, I want to thank you for having us on the show. Everybody out there, let's get the community back together. Stop the bullshit. Stop the drama. We love you. Again, stay in tune with both podcasts. Stay in tune with everybody's pages, and respect everybody. Plain and fucking simple.
Yeah.
All right, so then we get to the fun ones. What do you think about a malicious activity?
Like an angry kind of spirit, you're saying? Like,
yes,
malicious,
not demonic, but
not demonic, but they're angry. Yeah. I've dealt with a couple angry spirits in my investigations. Again, I won't throw out the demonic word at all, But I've seen some things and heard some things where they tell you get out, or we don't want you here, or in other ways of saying it. I've had sworn words, tell us get the fuck out. Yeah, no, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
Been there, done that.
And it's like we said earlier, if somebody was a dickhead when they were alive, they're going to be a dickhead when they're dead. So
exactly.
Yeah, so so the next one is demonic, and like you said, that's not really a word that I like to use that much. Even though I'll say that there are demonic cases out there, but they're very, very less than 1%. Like was said earlier. So, so to be truly demonic, what people have to remember, even throwing out the religious terminology and stuff. So a demonic entity is something that was never human. So so it's out there. It just very, very.
And I think the one problem is though people need to get those two. They're getting it mixed up a little bit between the two. The angry spirits and the demonic. And like I said, I've been doing it for 21 years, and thankfully I've never dealt with a demonic case. But yes, we've dealt with some very angry spirits.
In 33 years, I have one case that may have been demonic. I mean, definitely could have been, but I don't even. I put it more in the malicious. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And and that comes from somebody like we know, and like I said earlier, I've actually been trained in demonology, so so if I say something's not demonic, I pretty well mean it's not demonic. So I just don't like that word. I guess I've said demon and demonic about 5 times over the last minute, so I probably get 1,000 more likes or something. But, but anyway, so here's I only got a few more questions, and then I'll get you off here.
Yeah, not a problem.
So as we know, this is your 4-year anniversary as a team, and you've been doing this for over 2 decades. So what made you believe? What turned you from like a skeptic to believing, or did you always believe? What made you believe?
The one thing about me is I grew up in a haunted house. I actually grew up. I was raised in my grandparents' house after they passed away, and I never really I didn't move into their house until about 9 or 10 years old, maybe even a little older than that. I never really got into the whole ghost thing, never really knew about it. And then there was one night where I used to sleep in my aunt's bedroom. She passed away of cancer in the hospital. And there was one night, I'll never forget this. This is what got me into it. I was sleeping in bed, and all of a sudden I woke up to my TV was on, and it went to the black and white. And I'm like, why is the TV doing that? And I sat up, and all of a sudden, this big ball of glowing energy went from one corner of the room to the next, and I couldn't move. I felt like somebody was laying on top of me. Couldn't move a damn thing. And then as soon as that ball of energy disappeared, I was able to get up. Now, after that experience, every day something new was going on in the house. Our lights were flickering. Our garage door would go up and down by itself. And I was trying to figure out what's going on. And then finally my mother was like, well, where'd the ball of energy go? And I showed her, and it was an actual cabinet that was hidden behind the bed I was sleeping in. And it was all my aunt's jewelry, expensive jewelry. So it was kind of like she was trying to tell us what's going on. As soon as my mother pulled the jewelry out and took it, we never had activity in the house again. That was the crazy part.
So mine's similar. So, I mean, I don't guess I was ever a skeptic because I was born with my ability to see and communicate. As a kid, obviously, I consider it a gift now. As a kid, obviously, I did consider it a gift. But when I was 13, my great aunt had passed away.
Yeah.
Well, I say she's my great aunt, but she was more like another grandmother to me because because when I went out to eat with my grandparents, she was always with us. We went on vacations, she was with us. We went shopping, she was just always with us. So
Yep.
anyway, so I was staying at my grandparents, and I was sleeping in my grandmother's bed, but she passed away overnight in the hospital. But of course nobody knew she had passed away because it was in the middle of the night. But she came to me and said, "Kent, I've passed, but I want you to know I'm crossing over and I'm going to a better place." She's like, "But I wanted to stop by and let you know to live a good life and use your abilities."
Yes.
So that was the point. After I went to the bed and everything, that was the point that I decided I either had to learn how to use my gift or be afraid of it.
Yeah.
And obviously, I'm not somebody to be afraid of stuff. So that was the point that I actually started investigating. Kind of like your brother was talking earlier about your cameraman passing away. I actually, my best friend growing up from kindergarten until a year after high school, we actually started investigating together as teenagers. When we were 14, we actually spent Halloween staying in an actual haunted location while other people was going to haunted attractions. We were sleeping in an actual haunted house. So we got started together, and we used to check out all the books on parapsychology and ghosts and everything. And we actually got called down to the principal's office because they thought, I don't know what they thought, but anyway, they called us. So he actually passed away the year after we graduated from high school. He fell asleep driving and passed away. So I always think a piece of him is investigating with me still.
Absolutely, and with the same with us with Foster too. We're on investigation, and every investigation, Adam has a nickname that comes through, and he's either called a dick or an asshole. And we literally get it on EVPs, or we get it through spirit boxes or whatever. And we believe that it's Foster coming through, letting us know, because he used to call him that all the time as a joke. So I believe it. It's the paranormal, the whole thing is just, it's an amazing thought. It really is of what the afterlife is really like.
And when you get that solid piece of evidence, it's like we was discussing earlier. It's not like TV where you get evidence after evidence after evidence all the time. I mean, sometimes it happens like that, but not very often. Going back to when we do orientation with my team, that's actually one of the things we discuss. I like to use the illustration when you're investigating. It's like fishing. Yep. You may be there all day and not get a bite, but once you get that bite, it's like, so that's kind of like paranormal field. So
I tell people it's like an adrenaline rush too. It really is.
So my next question is, I should have asked this earlier, but anyway, what do you guys consider your investigation style? Do you consider yourselves like old school investigators, scientific investigators, hybrid investigators?
The one thing, our style is basically we like to use our senses. We're all about using senses. Yes, we have the equipment. We do use the equipment, but the main thing we like to focus on is we'll go into every building of the location, every room of the location, I should say, and we will sit there and we will ask the questions and we'll let the place talk to us. We like to hear and see if we can get affected, use our body to get affected any way possible, from hearing noises or knocks or listen to smells or, all that kind of stuff. We always use the senses. That's the one main thing we always do. And then after that, we just go through and put equipment here and there and see what happens, basically. But the major thing I like the most is I like to let the building talk to us.
I completely agree. I mean, obviously, I like to use my ability, especially when we go to a location, and my teams learn to trust my ability. So they're like, so as we're pulling into a location, they're like, do you feel anything? Are you getting, and to me, the equipment is just like just to reinforce what we already know. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. The one extra needed equipment.
I tell people, to me, if I'm doing a residential or a private investigation, I like the equipment because it's a lot easier to go to the homeowner and be like, this is what I captured on the EVP, or this is what I captured on the thermal camera, or this is the SLS. It's a lot easier to take that to the homeowner than to be like, well, this is what I sensed, this is what I felt. If you have that video or you have that audio recording, it's just a lot easier for the homeowner to believe.
Absolutely, I agree.
So my team, like I said, I consider us a hybrid style because I actually have this on my Facebook page. We use the old school style with the new school techniques. The old school techniques with the new school technology. That's how I put it. Because So a matter of fact, I have one member of my team. She's an expert with like the pendulum and all that stuff. So that's all she uses. And and then like I said, we have all the fancy stuff. It's not really about how you get there. It's about what the evidence you collect.
Absolutely.
So that's really what it's about. So
Absolutely.
Just let everybody know what you guys got going on and how to get a hold of you, and then we'll call it a night, sir.
Well, we're actually we're taking off first thing tomorrow morning. We're heading up to Whitehall, New York, which is upper state New York, and we're gonna be at a public event. It's a fundraiser for one of the Elks clubs up there. They're doing an overnight investigation. I believe it is sold out, which is incredible. Love to hear sold out, especially when it comes to fundraisers.
Yeah.
But we have a couple private locations that we picked for this year, including St. Albans. Can't wait for that. We're going to be there in November. That's one of the big places for us. You can find all our past investigations on our YouTube channel, Two Brothers Extreme Paranormal, including Sweet Springs. Look for Sweet Springs. That was an incredible investigation. Also, you can find us on Facebook. We have Two Brothers Extreme Paranormal. All our up-to-date stuff is coming up. We have merchandise that you can check out. We'll be at Paracons coming up soon. And also once a month on Friday nights, we have our podcast, All Things Paranormal podcast show. So check that out. But
just celebrated the 1 year anniversary.
Yeah, we just had our 1 year anniversary of that already. 4 year anniversary today for that, and a couple weeks ago it was the 1 year anniversary for that. So
well, I thank you for being my guest, and
I want to thank you for having us on. It was incredible. We had a blast.
You guys are family, and you're welcome back anytime.
Thanks,
and if you ever need a guest, holler at me. I'll be glad to jump on. So
absolutely.
Hopefully we'll be able to get into an event together sometime.
That'd be awesome.
Like I said, unfortunately, most of the events, haunted events are so far away. But I'm going to make some. I'm telling you, I am.
All right, sounds good with me. That'll be awesome.
All right, thank you for being on, and we will talk to you later.
Yeah, sounds good. Have a good night.